RFK he's a topic we have to always come back to. How's he doing in his job? That we know, best case scenario, he's getting little tiny wins. Worst case scenario, it's all words and no action, and it's just a revolving door. Every time he fires someone, no one's going to jail. Guess what?
Nothing's changing. The structure's changing.
You get warning labels, but you don't take the mRNA off the shelves. So that's the biggest concern right now. So something new has developed, and your friend Kim Iverson reported on this, and I think that this is important, and we'll talk about this. There's an actual lawsuit being put against RFK Jr. right now with an intention to help push the ball forward. The lawsuit's coming from none other than his own company, the Children's Health Defense, who's suing the HHS, and RFK, as the head of the HHS, is the person listed on the lawsuit. Let's hear Kim explain what's actually happening here, and if this is this going to accomplish anything? Because I think we're all coming from the same side. It's just a matter of how do you push and force your elected officials to do something. Here we go.
Sort of a shocking headline, but Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is being sued by Children's Health Defense. Children's Health Defense is the organization he co-founded. He had been majorly a part of Children's Health Defense until he resigned to become Health and Human Services Secretary, and yet now they are suing him. Why? Watch this.
We have a lawsuit that targets RFK Jr. for failing to set up task force on childhood vaccine safety.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been very focused on food lately, getting food dyes out. I mean, these are things that need to be done. I think they're extremely important, but a lot of people in the MAGA movement said vaccines. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has dropped the ball on that.
Why is he not dealing with vaccines? This is not the Bobby we know. Is he being held captive in the swamp? It kind of feels that way sometimes.
His own organization that he had been affiliated with from the day it was born, Children's Health Defense, is suing him in order to get him to do his job. They frame it in a nice way, saying, look, we're not being mean to the guy. We're just trying to help him do his job. I applaud Children's Health Defense for standing for their principles, and it doesn't matter against who. How many people could we say that about? That they would actually go against their own friend, their own founder, that they would say, look, you're not doing the job. They just stand for their principles, and that's what matters, and that's clearly what they're doing. That's commendable, and we need more of that in this world, not less of it, that is for sure.
Now, what a great breakdown by Kim. And I want to say, going on her Twitter, we got a lot of people pushing back, saying that she's trying to throw Kennedy under the bus. But I think she laid it out pretty eloquently as far as why this looks like this is happening from a place of, we understand that you have to force people to do their job. They're not just going to do it. You have to force them to. But it seems like they're coming from the same side. Of course, somebody, the Children's Health Defense had people going on her tweet and just clarifying to people that don't fully understand what's happening here and think that RFK is being turned on, not as much as being pressured. So this is the type of just kind of, hey, we want to just explain that this is from Mary S. Holland, part of the department. The department has asked for an August 15th deadline to respond to the complaint. So there's a little bit of time. There's a few weeks here and change. A timeline in which the CHD attorney, Ray Flores, agrees to allow the parties an opportunity to explore the potential for early resolution of this matter before engaging in further litigation, DOJ attorney wrote. So RFK eyes overhaul of vaccine injury program. So this is just to be very clear on the timeline, what is happening. But I like her coverage on it. I think that people have different takes on what, is he being turned on or is he being pressured? Does this matter at all? What's going on here from your vantage point?
Well, it looks like I said that we get a lot of emotional victories. We get little small victories here and there. Kim had even pointed out the FDA and the dyes, and I said, well, that's like a small victory. You know what I'm saying? I think we would get to that anyways, regardless of who's in there. But a lot of people feel, and we saw this coming from the Children's Health Defense Network. If you've been paying attention, they've been upset with Bobby since he's even made the whole, I think it's a dissertation about how he felt about the RNA vaccine that we had talked about. He just did a complete 180, went the opposite way. And they're like, what the hell is going on? The issue is that he went in there to handle the big issues, right? He was supposed to go over there, start stripping away at the liability protections from the vaccine manufacturers, get them removed from the schedules, and expose them for what they are. Not so much, I know a lot of people wanted people punished, the Nuremberg 2.0, they would say, which was ridiculous anyways, because Nuremberg just took a bunch of low-hanging fruit and allowed a lot of other high-level Nazis to escape Argentina and never have any accountability for what they had done. But citing that they thought some people would be accountable, I think at the very least, the Children's Health Defense Network and a lot of us hope that things would change. So moving forward, we would never have to face those protocols and mandates ever again, and never be having pushed down our throats. Bobby has ignored that. He hasn't done what he's needed to do when it comes to that. And in fact, the latest giveaway to Monsanto, I have a video over here. I don't have to show it, but him turning his back and Donald Trump turning their back on, like, okay, you're supposed to be protecting food. You're supposed to get us healthier, make America healthy again. Why are you sitting back and allowing Monsanto to run rugged right now? No lawsuits, no accountability for Monsanto, a get out of jail free ticket for them. And it's in section 453 of the bill that was out there. No farmer protections until 2035. And a lot of people feel that Bobby is actually turning on the Maha movement itself to provide cover for Donald Trump and the government. So, I mean, the big things haven't been done. We get these a little more emotional victories, but nothing really gets done at the end of the day. And it doesn't surprise me that Children's Health Defense is pushing forth. They're still under emergency use authorization for the COVID shot for children, right? The Pfizer shot. It's still on the vaccine schedule. There has not been anything talked about what's happened. There are people who lost their job because of mandates. Still hasn't been retracted. So the big issues, like you said, mRNA is still on the shelf. And if it's still on the shelf, we have a problem.
We do have a problem. I'm going to play devil's advocate for just one little tiny win, because it reminds me of when we talk about warning. Okay, so we talk about warning labels.
Yeah.
This is one thing it seems he can actually do. And we did get word that the FDA has started to put warning labels on the vaccine, specifically warning people that myocarditis is an actual side effect. And if you are a young, healthy male, you will be susceptible to this side effect. That's still on the shelf. It's still being given to people. But if that warning label is there, it kind of reminds me of the cigarettes situation where once you get the warning label on, at least you can have a public discussion. Is that worth something? Let's see this announcement
really quickly though. With you saying that leads into the whole fact that a lot of people in Children's Health Defense think that Bobby, like, just listen, they have warning labels, they have everything on. Just grab Pfizer's information about their own shot and use it against them. Get this shit pulled. He's not using the weapon there. He's avoiding doing that.
So in the meantime, as he's not doing that and the mRNA stays on the shelf, can we do something with this? This is the report. I just want to share this. If you guys didn't see this, it actually did happen. There's actually a warning label, and they're being it's very low key. It's not being announced by mainstream, but check it out.
That's what Kennedy's doing. Now, other agencies under Kennedy, like EPA and FDA, have their own pluses and minuses, almost like a grade in elementary school here. So one of the pluses for the FDA is they finally decided to add a warning to the COVID vaccine that it causes myocarditis. Something, again, we've been reporting on. Others, so many people have been raising the alarms on this. In fact, it was found in the studies, even in the preclinical studies, that they had to pause them to say, like, well, we're finding some signals here. But this is what the release looked like. This is the headline: FDA expands COVID vaccine warning about heart side effects for young males. So if you're out there, you're getting this 12 to 24-year-old healthy males, this is a problem. But you got to think, if you're unhealthy, what's it doing to the unhealthy kids too? Probably not helping them like a supplement or a vitamin C. So this is the warning that you're seeing now. The FDA press release said this warning they finally have a study, and this warning has to go into the vaccine insert. It says, in this study, at a median follow-up of approximately 5 months post-vaccination, persistence of abnormal cardiac magnetic resonance imaging, CMR findings, that are a marker for myocardial injury was common. It was common. The clinical and prognostic significance of these CMR findings is not known. Just kind of bringing that down, it's common. It happens pretty commonly, and we don't know what the clinical significance is. Well, we know that damage to the heart muscles, when they die, they do not reproduce. You do not get more heart muscles. Myocytes, cardiac heart muscles, do not continue to grow. So if you're damaging them or killing them, probably going to be a problem as you grow up from 12 years old to your middle ages or into your older ages. So that's what we're dealing with.
See, right there, that alone, he should be able to take that, use that, and get it pulled. Right there alone, right there. And that's what people expected. He's going to take this information that we already know and change the way we're moving forward when it comes to not just vaccines, especially the COVID vaccine. And he hasn't done it.
No,
He
it's not
hasn't
going to
done it.
happen because he's captured. But I'm saying let's accept that.
Yeah.
But let's compare this. I'm comparing this to the smoking. I'm saying this. If you have a warning label on a cigarette carton that says you might get lung cancer,
Does that change the people from smoking it?
at least we can talk about it in public.
Yeah.
At least we can say, hey, man, why are you lighting up right now?
Yeah.
Because remember, guys, during COVID, we couldn't even suggest like, hey, why are you getting another shot? Why didn't you just get 5 of those? You're getting a 6th one. So maybe is that a small win? If we can start relating having another booster related to, didn't you just smoke? You smoke a whole pack today, dude?
It is not a win as much as we think it is. Yes, you can kind of label it a win. At least it's there. We can have the conversation. We can point to it. But we've had all this information about everything in COVID going on.
Yeah.
When you have the rhetoric and you have the mainstream media and what's the word? Enterprise capturing it. In other words, when you have vaccine commercials from Travis Kelce on a football game saying I got my flu and my thing shot together, that's more powerful, and it's going to drown out the small warnings on the labels. Remember when RFK came in and what he wanted to say? He wanted to take away the fact that cigarette companies can no longer do commercials, right? There was a law that they had that for pharmaceutical companies. They revoked that law. They allowed them to do commercials. They have it all over. And advertising is the biggest propaganda out there. It's the most powerful propaganda out there. He wanted to remove that. So I don't know if you classify it as a small win when you were looking at that and saying, okay, we're going to get their liabilities stripped for them. They're no longer going to be able to do commercials and promote this all over football and sports and every other channels. That's going to be a big win. Maybe they still have it on the vaccine schedule, but if we remove those two things, it's going to really kick in a dent. And instead you got, well, hey, we're not going to do that for you. We're going to allow them to do commercials. We're going to allow them to have their liability protections, but we're going to put a little small print on the label there.
Yeah,
it's not what you want. It's not what you were promised.
It's so small.
Right.
I'm just suggesting maybe it's not insignificantly small. It's minuscule.
Yeah,
but it's not insignificant.
Yeah.
We can share, like you guys, like we can share this with family and friends who uninvited us to Thanksgiving and Christmas. I mean, we can say, hey, how are your kids doing? Do you want to check on your healthy boys in
the bunch of the people are going to say, listen, I just saw the commercial. Look, they're running a commercial right now and they're pushing out there. It's like the good's going to outweigh the bad. I don't know if it's a big enough weapon around the Thanksgiving table, but let's try and bring it up there. I mean, listen, we've been saying for quite some time, I've been saying to people who are still pushing the vaccine and still getting boosters saying, have you read Pfizer's own information about the shot? No, I don't need to. My doctor tells me that it's okay. And that push is still on. That has not been removed. That hasn't been dented. That's still going on, and it's still going to fucking shine through. Unfortunately. Hate to bust your bubble. Have that conversation at Thanksgiving, but I still don't. I think you're still kind of you're still pissing in a fan, right?
There was a time when 4 out of 5 doctors chose Marlboro, so it might be a process. Yeah. But I'm just saying that was a thing. Okay, with that, let's remind everyone the guy who put this in all of us, that forced this,
who profited off this,
who invested in mRNA technology. And then sold his stocks and made $500 million. I'm sorry, $500 billion.
Yes.
He went $500 billion on this thing.
A guy who was on Epstein's jet, was funded by Jeffrey Epstein.
Just a little reminder of the guy who salivates over getting mRNA into everything. It's so exciting to him. Here he is.
mRNA is really easy and really cheap. And that's the magic of this thing. But there's no doubt in the next 5 years, we can, we just need to mess around. There's a lot of lipid nanoparticles, and some are very self-assembling. There's no inherent reason it's not thermostable, it's not cheap, and it's not scalable. And so as over the 5 years, we fix that part of it, mature it, which is very typical, we'll be able to build factories worldwide that can make $2 vaccines with even less lead time than we've had to have here during this pandemic. And we'll use those, as you suggest.
Computer guy.
For every disease that we don't have vaccines, we will try mRNA. In fact, for HIV, we have multiple ways. One that's more of a B cell approach, one that's more of a T cell approach. For malaria, we have multiple ideas. For TB, we have multiple ideas. And so to fill in the missing vaccines, we'll make a lot of our bets of the Gates Foundation and others who care about global health will be mRNA focused.
Yeah. Okay.
Global health.
Yeah. We'll mess around. We got to mess around. And I want to correct the numbers from earlier. So this, just so they got the timeline right, because I want to get the numbers accurate. He invested $50 million into mRNA in 2019, before we even knew what COVID was.
Yeah.
Then 3 years later, he took that investment out. He got rid of it, and it multiplied to 500 million. So he made a pretty large return, which was $500 million in 3 years. And that's when he stopped pushing stuff like this. This video was recorded before he cashed out. So you saw his grinning in it. But it's just, look, we have to keep having these conversations. Obviously, a win is not necessarily a win, but that's why, I was just playing devil's advocate earlier, but here we are, guys. And, if we can keep these conversations going, then great. That's at least something we can do about it. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Good luck at the Thanksgiving table with that. But,
yeah,
exactly. You're going to have to take out the magnifying glass so they could see it like on the side of the cigarettes. This may cause myocarditis. It may.
Yeah.
But Travis Kelce says I can get my booster and my flu shot in one visit.
Yep.
So I'm going to take it.
Okay, let me take a moment to introduce you to our good friends over at World Harvest Food Bank right here in LA. World Harvest has been serving families across Los Angeles for 18 years now, and they started with this simple idea. Everyone deserves access to healthy, affordable food no matter what they're going through. With their Cart with a Heart program, families can walk away with a full cart of groceries, fresh produce, dairy, meat, and pantry supplies for just a $50 contribution. That's for the entire cart. That same cart will cost over $300 at a typical grocery store. At World Harvest, everyone is welcome. They don't ask for income verification, ID, or any paperwork. No. Basically, their doors are open to anyone who's doing their best, but just needs a little extra push to get by. If you're an Angelino like me, you know the times have been tough here. First with all the union strikes, the LA fires, and now the ICE raids going on. It seems like we're living in a constant state of uncertainty. And that's why it's so important to support local charities like World Harvest, because they aren't just helping the community. They're an essential function in its very survival. World Harvest is located at Venice and Arlington. And right now, you can use our special discount code THL20 for 20% off your contribution amount at checkout. And if you're not in the LA area, you can still help out with a $50 donation, which will provide a full cart of food for a family by going to worldharvestfoodbank.org or scan the QR code for more info. Or you can just spread the word. Follow them online. Let people know they're here for them, because at the end of the day, it's about providing choice, access, and relief without barriers. World Harvest Food Bank. End hunger now.